Hi, my name is Emily Britt, and I am a scientist here at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. And today I want to tell you about my research. I'm really happy to be a scientist because I get to discover new things about the human body every day. So this is a fun picture of our lab. So this is Dr. Jane Fan, and she's in charge of the lab. And then this is me, and these are two other scientists and grad students in the lab. So our lab studies the immune system, and the immune system's job is to protect our body against pathogens. And I study just one cell in the immune system, and that's white blood cells, and they can also be called neutrophils. So this is a picture of what a neutrophil might be doing in the body, is attacking those germs like bacteria and fungus. If we look under a microscope, this is what a neutrophil looks like. So they're really round and circular, and this dark purple part is the nucleus. And the nucleus is the part of the cell that packages all the DNA. And the DNA is just how cells know what type of cell they should be. Yeah, so you might be wondering, how do I study neutrophils? And so we have healthy donors that come into the lab, and they donate a very small amount of blood. And from that blood, I'm able to isolate out these really teeny tiny neutrophil cells. And then I can perform different experiments to see how these neutrophils, or white blood cells, are performing their functions in the body. One really cool way that neutrophils are protecting us from these germs is by releasing things called nets, or neutrophil extracellular traps. And what this is when the neutrophil senses danger, they can untwist their DNA that's in the nucleus and release it into the environment as a form of a net. And then it's able to trap those germs and bacteria and degrade and kill them. And this is what it might look like under the microscope. So you can see that all these kind of dark, weird looking circles are neutrophils. And then this stringy stuff is that DNA that the neutrophils released out into the environment. A really cool way that we can measure this is by staining the DNA so that it glows green. So we can then look at the neutrophils over time to see how they're releasing their DNA. So this is a fun little video that you can see that as time goes by, more and more neutrophils are releasing their DNA to trap up all those bacteria and pathogens to keep us safe. So this is my favorite picture, and a fun way to think about it is that neutrophils are just like Spider-Man. That's just how Spider-Man can shoot his web out. These neutrophils can shoot out their DNA to trap those bad guys or those pathogens. So now we're going to get a chance to make our own nets. And so we're going to need a couple materials. And so the first material we need is just a balloon. And then we also need a piece of string. It can be any sort of string. And then we need a tack, a really small tack, and be super careful because it is sharp, so we don't want to poke our fingers. And then we also need some tape. And so in this fun little experiment, the balloon is going to represent that circular neutrophil. The string is going to be the DNA, or the net in the neutrophil. And then this sharp tack is going to be the germ, or bacteria. So the first thing we need to do is to tape our pathogen to the table. So we'll just take a couple pieces of tape, and be sure to get parents' help with this so we don't actually poke our fingers on our fake pathogen or bacteria and get hurt. Okay. So once we have our bacteria or germ taped to the table, we can go ahead and add our DNA into the neutrophil. So we just gently feed in the DNA into the neutrophil like this. And this can also be a little tricky, and so don't be afraid to ask for a little help. Okay, so once we have all our DNA within the neutrophil, we can kind of shake it to make sure it all gets to the bottom, and then we'll just go ahead and blow up the balloon. And then we'll tie it. So then, now that we have our balloon, this is our neutrophil, and so we can think about our neutrophil is just flowing through the blood, doing its own thing, and it's constantly looking for any sort of danger. So, oh no, we sense some danger because we see it right here. And so the neutrophil is going to go after that pathogen. Oops. So it's going to come in contact. And what happened? Our net was released, and it goes right onto the pathogen. And so then it neutralizes that danger and kills that germ to protect the body from this germ. And so we can thank our neutrophils for keeping us safe from all these bad germs. Thanks.